of you at your disposal.
That's beautiful.
It's just waiting. It's just sitting there waiting. And
Yeah,
just be.
beautiful.
You know, that old saying, just be. That's the most simplified version of it. Just be. And, you know, you just got to be proud. This is proud without the pride. Be proud to be who you are. Shine your light. Express your being. Sing your song, you know, and emit your light. Shine like the star you truly are. And don't be afraid of who you are. This is all about self-empowerment.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
George, I remember a quote you said, "I am not perfect, but I'm perfect the way I am." So that was good as well.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. George, your theories on the 2013 or ascension interest me. It seems alternative history via Graham Hancock, Michael Cremo, and the Atlantis myth seem to show previous advanced civilizations existed thousands of years ago, and they too were destroyed by cataclysmic earth changes. Could it be possible that this period of time we are approaching is not that unique, and that Sophia periodically gets a chance to ascend at the end of these ages or cycles? Since we are still here, what makes you believe that this time around Sophia will ascend? And where will all those that are left behind stay if Sophia ascends?
Oh, geez, a really good question. We addressed the last one already in numerous questions, but I will cover that again just quickly. The people, when Mother Earth goes through changes this time, on this level of reality, people need to just get off the planet. The irony of people going into underground bases, that's just... I won't get into that now because that's a big one. Ask me straight after because I do want to address it. Excuse me. I do wish to address that. It's a very important subject for the ruling elite. They really need to be told a very big message. So, okay. So if you look at the history, we've actually been on the path of descent. We've been devolving for a very, very long time. The ending of each cycle was the beginning of the descent into the next cycle. And if you look just as the most recent one with Atlantis, it started off really good, had a bit of an overlap with Lemuria for a little while. And then once Lemuria left and went out of the picture, Atlantis started falling away. And because Atlantis was the last of the fourth dimension, the 4D ways of life on this planet in the public arena as we know it, it descended. And once the pyramids were anchored into the Giza Plateau around 12,500 years ago, it was pretty much around 12,400 years ago. Then really that's when things fell away real fast because that resulted in the anchoring of the archetype of the hunter, which is the male warrior energy. And that people just went crazy after that. The lust and the thirst for power and control was incredible. And Atlantis descended really quickly compared to what it once was before. And, people have all these romantic notions about Atlantis. And sure, but maybe the experiences they had were earlier on in its cycles and not towards the end because it just really fell into a really awful state of being. And a lot of destruction ensued because of the practices of technologies. So that's what happened. Why is it different this time? Because if you connect with the group soul consciousness of the human collective group soul, and if you talk to Mother Earth, and if you talk to Father Sun, and if you connect with the all the rest of life, which is beyond the earthly veil and beyond the cosmic veil of the intergalactic cabal, and then you get to the rest of life. And then if you talk to the elemental kingdoms and the spiritual hierarchies and the aquatic races, and then you take all of that into consideration, then you will quickly come to realize that Mother Earth is about to ascend into a body of light this time, and it was part of a much greater plan, was to descend. And I go into this extensively in my seminars. I really explain this path of devolution, this road to compression. I even explain why this galaxy was manifested, and that each star system is a fractal of a galaxy. and this road to compression, and we found ourselves here in this solar system on this planet, and all the cycles we've had here on this planet, and it's at the very end of a very long process about reintegrating everything, all our separated and fragmented aspects, and bringing about balance and harmony within our souls so that we can graduate and ascend and leave these lower domains of the universe and become what we originally intended to become when we first entered the universe. And that's why it's the feminine aspect of the Creator who's facilitating this firsthand, and the masculine aspect of the Creator who have stepped down their energies to a galactic consciousness, to star system consciousnesses, and to planetary consciousness.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, particularly where will those that are left behind stay, is because obviously other researchers like Dolores Cannon believes there'll be two worlds, two Earths. So that's why I was wondering, where would people left behind stay if Sophia ascends?
Yeah, good question, because a lot of people talk about parallel universes as well. It's not just going to be like a split like that. That's a big subject, because I have talked about the timelines. This is the one we are on, and I'm not just being biased. This is the original intended organic timeline. All the others are like, you got the main trunk of a tree, and the others are all they're kind of more holographic in nature. They don't have the substance that this one does. And you'll notice that a whole bunch of ETs have come back to this one. So I'll get into that in a moment. So that's where a lot of people will go. Some will go off trajectories into other timelines. Some will, the attempt to go into underground bases, that is one of the biggest deceptions ever. That's middle management who are now surplus to requirements. There's a lot of people who are being lured into underground bases because they are no longer wanted. They are being seen more as a pain in the hoo-hoo, and they need to be disposed of. So, or there are some who are going to be lured into underground bases, and they'll be left with only one option, and that's to go through a Stargate or a wormhole opening through technology. So that's an entrapment. So yeah, because eventually the Earth's crust implodes. So this time around, because there are some members of the ruling elite who also think what's going to happen is like what happened before. It's going to be no different. So it'll just be the Earth having a pole shift, a bit of flooding, everything on the surface gets destroyed and wiped out, and then people will come out from their underground bases and start all over again. Not this time. Sure, that's happened in the past, but this time it's different. And I urge people to look at the bigger picture of things and not just say 2, 3, 4 cycles back, but understand why we are here, the relationship between the human race and the planet, the ecosystem, why we're in the solar system, look at the history of the solar system, look at the journey that our consciousness has taken throughout the universe, and then you begin to understand what's actually really going on here. So that's where I'm coming from that perspective. Yeah, and so other people will go on ships. Quite a few will be harvested through ships. Some are going back to their galactic families, like, their real family are coming back, because who and what we are is very important, and the codes that we hold in our bodies. I can't go into that here. That's a really big subject, and that'll take an hour just to explain that, and because of who and what we are, and the way we interact with the energy streams coming in and energy streams going out. Because we're teaching not only our own race, but we've got many contracts with many other races. We are ambassadors and of many races, not just our own. And this journey is not just about us. And there's a lot to that subject. So some people are getting picked up by the galactic families, and when their galactic family turns up, they know instantly who it is. There is no doubt. There's no, I'm your long lost brother from this star. No one carries on like that. The moment they turn up, your heart knows who they are. End of story. Within a microsecond, instantaneous. So I warn people, for those who come and tell you that they're your brother or your sister or your galactic family, it doesn't work that way. So I warn people about that deception as well. So and then the ones who will be saved by their religious deities, where angels and ascended masters will come and sent from God to take their astral body, which they won't realise it's actually the astral body being taken out, and the astral essence, and get taken to their paradigms of synthetic light constructs. So that's pretty much how it's going to pan out.
Will the Earth ascend on its own, or does it require mass consciousness awakening of enlightened humans for Sophia to ascend, as some people think? So does Sophia need humans to reach a certain level of enlightened consciousness for it to ascend?
Oh, no, she doesn't. She's a big girl. I mean, look, you get in contact with her Lady Gaia personality, and it's like a lower ego. She's in pain, and she's really working hard to hold it together for everybody. But when you go into the Christ Sophia, it's like, oh, I'm a big girl. I've got it all under control. Everything's good. It lightens her load. It's like when you're doing a job. You got a job to do, right? If someone comes along and gives you a helping hand, it lightens the load, doesn't it? It makes the process more pleasant. Even if someone comes up and just appreciates the work that you're doing, that energetic charge just really lightens the load for you and makes the job a whole lot better. So even though she's from unconditional love, so she doesn't have any attachments, but really it does help. Every little bit helps. So it starts with gratitude. And if you do have this appreciation towards Mother Earth and her sacrifice, that's the biggest, that starts there. And then you work it out for yourself what you need to do from there. I can't tell people what to do beyond that.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
George, you mentioned in a Veritas interview that all people can and will ascend, even those that have had negative life can still ascend because that was the set of circumstances that required them to balance themselves, similar to a negative charge to reattain balance. You gave the example of Mary Lou, mother of three, who didn't have the time to meditate, but she could still ascend. This seems a little contradictory to the early Eastern philosophies that, in a nutshell, say that ascension or being part of the one consciousness needs hard work and perseverance. I agree that universe puts things in our life for growth, but this seems to absolve people from personal responsibility, similar to a priest absolving the sins of a killer at his deathbed so he can still go to heaven. How does self-choice and self-responsibility fit into the people ascending, considering you mentioned that I think 1/3 of the people would ascend, and the current level of apathy and ignorance of people generally living today?
Wow, there's a lot of questions there. Okay, well, first of all, the ancient Eastern philosophies were for ancient Eastern times, okay? And so the attempt for people to ascend back then was how they wanted to go about it. So to do that today is the old program, and if someone wishes to do that, they're welcome to it. It's kind of like the Kundalini going up the spine, intersecting through the chakra points, activating the pineal gland, and using that version of enlightenment. Sure, if people want to do that, they're welcome to it, but been there, done that, that's 4D cosmic mind enlightenment. The pineal gland is in the mind, it's in the head, it's in the brain. What I'm talking about is going into the heart. So this is beyond the 4D cosmic mind concepts of enlightenment. When it comes to people being, let's say, it'll seem unfair to people who have had good lives. Well, this is taking the universal journey into consideration. So like I keep saying to people, just because you're good in this lifetime doesn't mean you're an a-hole the lifetime before. And the person who was really good in the lifetime before is an a-hole in this lifetime. Pardon my expressions, but, it was appropriate. So, it really, people got to get off the judgment, get off the soapbox. And I'm not just targeting this person who's asked a question. You got to understand the amount of judgment I get from many, many people because, they're caught up in their philosophies and a lot of them are really good. They have a lot of good practices